What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a look at some more new One Piece cards. There are some new One Piece cards coming, and look, I like talking about new One Piece cards. It makes me very happy, and OP-08 is shaping up pretty nice, and I want to start with a confusing card. It's Jimbei. Firstly, my word, I like the art on this. It's adorable, but also, this totally looks like a card from Starter Deck 14. It is a black Straw Hat Crew Jimbei, and it even's got a skill which requires you to have an 8 cost or higher character on the board, just like all those ones from Starter Deck 14 have. But this is not from Starter Deck 14, it is actually from OP-08. Also, we're talking Fishman Pirate here, as well, or a Fishman, as well as Straw Hat Crew. So, you know, yay! So what have we got here then? Well, no counter, unfortunately. But we've got 5 cost, 6,000 power, and we've got Don X1 when attacking. If you have an 8 cost or higher character on the board, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. We are starting already to be building up a black deck like this that can actually really start going after these characters. Because 4 cost or lower, yeah. Like, black's got a bunch of different things you can use to lower your opponent's cost. It's really quite easy. So that 4 cost turns into a 6, 7, 8 cost, whatever, pretty gosh darn quickly. But as long as you've got an 8 cost on the board, it's really not going to be that difficult. Now, it really depends how far you want to go here. Because obviously we've got our leader Luffy from Starter Deck 14. That will increase the cost of your characters by 1. That's going to help out massively. And similarly, we've got the Sunny Stage, which will increase the cost of your Straw Hat Crew by 1, which will help very nicely indeed. But then you've kind of got to be going down the Starter Deck 14 route. You're basically playing Starter Deck 14, just making a better version of it, which is fine, incidentally, if that's the way you want to go. But it is kind of important to know it's not always necessarily going to be what you want to do. But then again, you know, we've got stuff like Sanji. Well, Sanji, if you've got a 6 cost or higher on the board, you get to KO a 5 cost or lower on play. And just to remind you, Jimbei is when attacking, so it's every turn. You are constantly taking out these characters, which is kind of awesome. And we got the Usopp from Starter Deck 14, which is, you know, a very similar kind of thing here. Whereby, if you've got an 8 cost or higher character in play, you get to KO a 4 cost or lower. Which you might have noticed is the same as Jimbei. Like, literally the same as Jimbei. This is exactly the same skill. Don X1, when attacking, if you've got an 8 cost or higher character on the board, you get to KO one of your opponent's 4 cost or lower characters. It's literally the same. Okay, cool. And the thing is, between Usopp and Jimbei, you're going to be just taking out your opponent's characters. And the great thing is, you're not taking out rested characters here. You're not having to, you know, wait for them to be used and be rested. You can just get a straight KO. So once you start getting characters like this on the board, your opponent cannot play a 4 cost or lower because they can't use it for a turn. And by the time it comes back round, you're going to have got them off the board. There are some fun things brewing over in black, and this is the kind of thing we see. Like, this is clearly a support card for Starter Deck 14 or that kind of deck. It just so happens to be coming in the set that comes out just after Starter Deck 14. Makes perfect sense. Love the art. Lovely effect. I'm just going to say it. I think this is a good card. And I think this is one that could end up being good. I'm not saying these black decks are going to be played like this and be amazing. I don't know. But I'm saying there's a chance. You know what else I'm saying? I'm saying we've got a blue Whitebeard pirate. I've been waiting for this. Because, well, I mean, we've got Thatch here. And the thing is, I've been telling you they're coming. I've been telling you that the Whitebeard pirates are coming in blue. But I've not been able to tell you too much about them. Like, we know they're coming. And I showed you Jozu. I did show you Jozu. But that's all I've been able to show you from OP-08 so far. Told you Marco was coming. Then I showed you Marco. I showed you Ace as well, didn't I? Maybe I have shown you a few of these. Well, now we got another one. All right. Now we've got another one. And I'm just putting it out there. I'm starting to get really excited. Like, Marco looked really good anyway. But I've already shown you the Ace, which lets you look at the top card of your deck. And if it's a 4-cost or lower Whitebeard Pirate, you just get to play it, which is kind of awesome. And then I showed you Jozu as well, who you basically bounce back to your hand to bounce an opponent's 6-cost or lower back to your hand. And this is also pretty gosh darn good. This is nice. And of course, bouncing a card back to your hand to have more counter in hand is not necessarily a bad thing. Some may argue it's potentially a good thing. The point is, we've seen a couple of good blue Whitebeard pirates so far. Now we got another one. Is Thatch any actually good? That's a phrase, right? And the answer is, it's not bad. We've got a 4-cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And if this character is KO'd by effects, then instead of KOing this character, you can place a character other than this into the trash and then draw a card. This is nice. By the way, when I say KO'd, it's KO'd or removed from play. Basically, if it leaves play. However that might end up happening. And all of a sudden, you're like, well, like, I can't get... I've got to attack into this. I've got to wait until this character is rested and then do the whole attacking thing. Because if I try getting rid of Thatch with effects, my opponent can get rid of a different character and draw a card at the same time. And look, if you're playing this, what you're probably going to want to try and do is get some just cheap characters sitting on the board, ones that may be helping out a little bit, ones with play skills, etc., and then basically go from there. Use them as cannon fodder, so to speak. And then this is the actual one that you're kind of relying on. It's not some stunning, amazing card. It's just a 5k character. And 5k is good. 5k is generally the minimum you need to be attacking into your opponent's leader. So it's a decent thing. But the goal here is that you're keeping a 5k on the board, which is a competent attacker, while putting 1 or 2 cost characters back into the trash and drawing at the same time, which is a part of this not to be overlooked. And you add it all together and it's starting to look really rather nice. I don't know if this is the best new Whitebeard pirate we've seen. You know, Jozu and Ace are very good cards. But I do know that Marco looked a little bit busted when all we knew about it were the cards that we'd previously seen. And now we're starting to get these blue Whitebeard pirates looking pretty good as well. And this is starting to add up very nicely indeed. And let's finish off talking about Dr. Kuraha, the first Dr. Kuraha we've actually seen. I'm hoping we get a better image before I have to post this video. For now, this is the best I've got. It lets a nice clear image on screen, in which case, yay. And this is going to be a card that frankly looks a little bit familiar. 1 cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And on play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, choose a Tony Chopper or a card with Drum Kingdom. Except for Dr. Kuraha, reveal it, put it in your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. It is, as I like to phrase it, your classic generic searcher. But this one is very much like Charlotte Pudding for Big Mum. I mean, obviously, this is for Drum Kingdom. But this is very much like Charlotte Pudding, and I adore this. Because in the same way that Charlotte Pudding gets Big Mum or Sanji, and if you've read the manga, watch the anime, it makes perfect sense. Here, you're searching out Drum Kingdom or Tony Chopper, which, if you've read the manga or watched the anime, makes perfect sense. I've said it many times. I adore when the card designers do this, when they give little nods to the source material, where if you play this as just a card game, as I did when I started. When I started playing One Piece, did not know the characters, did not know the story. I've since read it, because it's legitimately the best thing I've ever read, and I'm not exaggerating. And I read the whole thing in like 3 months, which I don't recommend. It's clearly too fast. But my point is, if you're just playing it as a card game, you're going to look at this and be like, I don't know, he's weird. Why Chopper? And if you are familiar with the source material, you're going to be like, I get it. That's kind of cool. Either way, it's a generic searcher like Charlotte put it, and we know the deal. If Drum Kingdom is an archetype, if Red Drum Kingdom ends up being a thing, then yeah, this is absolutely going to see a whole bunch of play. It's going to be a staple in every deck. Obviously, this is designed to be played with Tony Chopper, because that is the red leader from the set, who, for what it's worth, is Drum Kingdom. But of course, we're not talking about the leader here. We're talking about all the character Tony Choppers. Like, for instance, the 1-cost blockers from Starter Deck 1, as an example. That might be the kind of thing I'm looking for here. I like this card. It's kind of low-hanging fruit. We all know these generic searches are good, but it doesn't mean we're not happy to see them. So there we go, we got new characters, they're helping out some leaders we've seen recently, and that sounds good to me. If you want to be helping out Chopper, we got Kuraha. If you want to be helping out Marco, you got Thatch. And if you want to be helping out the starter deck Luffy, we've got Jimbei very nicely. So they're the new cards, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these characters, which of these leaders you're excited about. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.